This is otherwise state champ Alex Thompson. This is Josh Elwer from the University of Northern Iowa, and you're listening to Potentially Dangerous on IA Wrestle.
Hey, is this heaven?
No, it's Iowa.
From high school to international wrestling, on the mat and beyond, this is the Potentially Dangerous podcast with the guys from IA Wrestle.
If you're a fighter, you like a fight. If you're an American, you like a fight. If you're an Iowa Hawkeye, you know you're going to get a fight.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and all your podcast-friendly apps. And follow us on social media platforms at IA Wrestle. Time to strap it up and get to the show.
When the whistle go.
Welcome back to Potentially Dangerous, presented by My House Sports Gear. I'm Tony Hager. I'm going to be joined by Ross Bartachek. I'm back. It's been a while. Had my baby girl, Cadence, and I've missed being on the podcast. Actually recorded a podcast with 5 Point Move, but I spent 2 hours with him and didn't get the whole thing recorded, so we're going to try to get him on another time to talk about Greco-Roman wrestling and why that sport is suffering to gain ground in our state, and what he thinks maybe the future will look for the sport of Greco. But Ross, let's get to it. I'm excited to be back on episode 61. I feel like has it been like 5 weeks or something?
Yeah, I think it's been a month at least. You know, Fargo was the last time we had a chance to talk to each other for a podcast. So it's been a while. We've been missing you.
Jeez. Well,
I'm sure the listeners have been hungry for some fresh as cabbage takes.
Well, I don't know if I've got any fresh as cabbage takes.
Oh, okay.
You know, I've kind of, I feel like I've been out of the loop a little bit. I'm kind of in a daze. I'm getting about 2 to 3 hours of sleep at night, and trying to juggle this Night of Conflict and numerous things. But the Night of Conflict is coming together. Ross, Lars, you guys have been, really working behind the scenes, and people have been trying to get specific guys to the Night of Conflict. Some dads have been helping us, some kids have been helping us, and we've got some great matches that we announced here since the last podcast. The biggest one that I think you and I were both pretty excited about was getting in Joel Shapiro after his performance at Fargo. So why don't you talk a little bit about that matchup, because I think you got his opponent lined up for him.
Yes, sir. Like you said, Shapiro was a guy we wanted to get. He's been a guy that's been pretty well known in Iowa for a long time, but his summer by beating what's his name from Pennsylvania, blanking on Travis Stefanik, out at Disney Duels, obviously Fargo All-American, Northern Plains champ up at 170. He's going to be wrestling down at 160 for the season, so he did a lot of good stuff up a weight, and he's going to be taking on Illinois prep Danny Bronigo, who was a freestyle All-American. He's ranked number 17 at 152 pounds by Flow Wrestling. He's a solid kid. I'm trying to think what else I know he's been in the finals of Conflict at Carver. He's a guy that loves a matchup. We told him we got somebody at 160 pounds, so he might be giving up a little weight, and he was like, "No, I want this match." He's pumped up to be in this event.
He's been at Conflict at Carver, the tournament, which takes place the day after the Night of Conflict. So if you're not familiar with it, it's a huge kids and high school tournament. There's girls wrestling as well. Everybody will get free entry into the Night of Conflict. But going back to this matchup, Joel Shapiro, since he's been at Valley, we've been waiting for just kind of like a breakout match, or that guy that he beats that everyone's like, Shapiro's, maybe a D1 talent. He's not there yet as far as maybe getting the eyeballs on him, but I think as he continues to grow, I think it'll be interesting to see how he does this upcoming season. two-time state medalist at the 3A level, at the weight class that he's had, 126 and 145, so he's grown a lot. I mean, we all know how tough 126 is, and then going up to 45. Those are two tough weight classes in 3A, so I think Shapiro is going to continue to grow into his body and get bigger and bigger. So, he could be, 165, a solid 65-pounder by the time he's out of high school, I think. So,
yeah, he's climbing up. He's, like you said, growing into that frame, and man, I'm just so excited to get Shapiro in. Last year we had a couple good 160-pound matches with Alex Marinelli, Drew Hughes, and Colton Klingenpeel, and Caleb Young. So, I mean, I don't know about you. You were a lightweight, but I'm always a big fan of those really good middleweights. It's something that's always drawn me in since going way back for me. So
getting an Iowa guy in this event, it's actually been a little bit more difficult than we thought. For some reason, it's like a record year for people going to Super 32. So we are going up against that, but we got the guys that know what this event can do for them and the opportunity to wrestle at Carver. So, shout out to Joel for taking this match and knowing what this event could bring to the table for him and his future for college. Because I know he has got plans to wrestle at the next level. The next matchup that we announced was just yesterday. Max Lyon will take on AJ Pedro. Top 20 matchup. Max was another guy that we had to get into this event because he's taking college visits. He's getting more looks. He shot up the rankings and flow rankings at number 3 last time, and then now since Fargo, he's dropped down to number 17. So he's kind of just trying to find his place, I think, in that national ranking. So, flow, intermat, this will be a good test to see if he can come out. AJ Pedro's ranked 15th. He's 17th. Not a huge, I guess, ranking jump up to if he does beat him, but it'll show him if he belongs maybe in that top 15, top 10 talk with wrestling AJ Pedro from Massachusetts. I think Lars set this one up with AJ, though, didn't he?
Yep. And the big thing about Max is, like you said, this could be a win to prove that he deserves to be up there. And it's just more, there's some redemption here, too, for him to get that win and maybe get back on track because he's generally taking care of himself during the high school season. Got his first state title last year. He's a 2-time folk style runner-up at USA Wrestling Folk Nationals. Going up against, and Pedro's actually the number 49 overall recruit in the 2017 class. So this could definitely up his stock, maybe help his scholarship chances, somebody looking for a big guy. I know Lars said last night when he talked to him it was Iowa, UNI, Purdue, and Michigan State were the schools he's got visits scheduled to, right?
Yes, I think that sounds right.
So he's got one more visit left he can schedule, but I mean that can be some leverage if he gets some win in this event.
Well, since he won that state title, it's completely changed. It has completely changed, I think, his outlook on going to the next level. I don't want to say that he was getting those looks before that state title, but it really definitely set him in stone for a guy that's D1 talent at that weight class. So this will definitely help him wrestling a different style of a wrestler from out east. So it'll be interesting to see if he shows up at Carver. So going back and looking at this lineup that we've announced, these matches: Shapiro versus Bronigal, Lara versus Chavez, G-Feller versus Hernandez, Reeves versus Brown, Campbell versus Schultz, Costello versus Evans, and then we have Jason Renteria versus Keaton Gertz, number 1 ranked wrestler. That matchup is actually going to be getting switched up a little bit, so stay tuned to iewrestle.com. We're going to switch Gertz around a little bit. He is growing a little bit, so we're going to get him a different match, and then we're going to bring somebody else in for Renteria from Iowa. So Gertz is still going to get a match, and another guy from Iowa is going to get a match, so be on the lookout for that for IU Wrestle. And this kind of was a blessing in disguise, I guess you could say, Ross, because we were able to get one more Iowa guy in. This happened last year. We were like, oh, we're only going to do 10 matches. We're only going to do 10 matches, maybe just 8 matches, and then things just happen. They develop to where we see a guy that reaches out and say we want to be in this event, and it's hard to turn them down. It's hard to turn these big matches down.
Yeah, this kind of snowballs on you that you get this momentum, these kids, and of course there's a lot of good Iowa kids we want to get matches for. So, yep, like you said, this kind of blessing in disguise, and once we get a couple more things squared away, we can put that announcement out.
I wanted to, I put this out on the Twitterverse, I don't know, like a week ago. I was a little upset about some people talking about our event versus another event, and it is at Carver Hawkeye Arena, Ross, but it's not an Iowa Hawkeye event. We donate a portion of the proceeds to Hawkeye Wrestling Club because they help us with the venue. We would do the same if it was at Grandview University. We would donate some money back to them. Same if we did it at Iowa State or anywhere. So I get where people are saying, hey, this is an Iowa Hawkeye event because we do donate some money to the Hawkeye Wrestling Club. It's at Carver Hawkeye Arena. But last year there were so many Hawkeye recruits that were there because they had so many people on the radar. I mean, this year it doesn't seem like there's a lot of people that have Iowa on their list. I mean, we got Lara. Lara has him on their list. I don't know who else though. I mean, I'm just trying to. It's just last year there was a ton of kids. Wagner, Max Murin. I mean, there was a lot of kids that were looking at Iowa, and then they committed there. So,
well, it's tough. I mean, last year was a brand new event, so for us, it was obviously beneficial to, I guess, for us to invite. We brought in Caleb Young, we brought in Alex Marinelli, Renteria came, but he was also wrestling in the tournament anyway. But, I mean, we were able to bring in those Hawkeye recruits, and it was just helpful for us because it was a brand new event. People were learning about it. But now you look at us, we're a year later, and, Jared Campbell is committed to Missouri from Ohio. We brought in Colton Schultz because really there's not very many people that can go with Jared Campbell, but there's no real Iowa tie there. We talked about G. Feller's committed to Okie State. Hernandez is going to North Carolina. There's no Iowa tie. So, I mean, we're looking for guys to come in. It doesn't have to be anybody considering Iowa. Tristan Lara, like you said, is considering other Iowa schools, but not Iowa. Nico Chavez, I don't know if he's got any intentions to wrestle at Iowa, but you just go out and you try to find kids that want to wrestle in a big match like this. And last year just happened to be a lot of Iowa guys were there.
Yeah. I mean, Hernandez, he's going to be a North Carolina guy. Tony Ramos guy. Iowa wouldn't be too happy about bringing in somebody that's promoting North Carolina if they had a say in it. Jason Renteria decommitted from Iowa. So I just wanted to be known that the university is not in any way, shape, or form setting these matches in place. Wrestle is handling all these matches. So the Hawkeye Wrestling Club has no say in it as well. So let's get that straight. It is all IA Wrestle, but it's not easy to get Carver Hawkeye Arena. There's a reason why we're there, and there's a reason why another event is not in Hilton Coliseum. So we have to do what we have to do to make that event happen. And I'm excited about it. And we got a couple more matches to announce after the Junior World Championships, Cadet World Championships, and we can get a couple guys that are in that. It's going to be straight fire, Ross, and you can watch everything on Flow, or you can get tickets on Eventbrite.com. You can go to our website, iawrestle.com, click on Night of Conflict. There's a drop-down of tickets that will take you directly to Eventbrite. $20 for VIP, $15 for bleachers, and $10 for general admission. Had about 2,000 people roughly there last year, and it was a great event, trying to see if we can get to 3,000. Again, if you are wrestling in the conflict at Carver the next day, registration is up and running for that, you can go to conflict@carver.com. You get free entry into Night of Conflict if you register for that tournament the next day. What happens is you'll weigh in Friday night for the conflict. You'll eat, be able to sit around and relax a little bit, and then the event will start, so you can stay right on campus and go into that event. And we might have a little special autograph signing for you that we got to work out some details on. So be a good opportunity for family and the kids to see some other favorite Hawkeyes and maybe a couple other guys from around the state. Well, I mean, I guess why we're sticking with Iowa, Hawkeyes landed a big recruit out of Pennsylvania. The young guns stepping up again and coming to Iowa. For Iowa to get somebody out in Penn State again, or from Penn State. I guess he was, a potential recruit for Penn State, but go out in Pennsylvania for them to use that Young Guns pipeline. Just shows, that people are willing to travel to Iowa to be an Iowa Hawkeye still. So I know you talked to him, Ross, after his commitment. And what did you take away from his decision to come here?
I think it was pretty obvious that being a Hawkeye is something he's always really thought about, and it probably helps that now I know Terry, Tom, and Ryan all do their trips out to Young Guns, as does Oklahoma State and Ohio State. Everybody goes out to the Young Guns, does a clinic now, but I'm sure that presence really helped develop that relationship with making Murin continue to want to be a Hawkeye. I know we said in interviews with, it was either KJ Pilcher or Andy Hamilton, that even if his other Young Guns teammates like Michael Kemmer, Caleb Young, Spencer Lee coming in this class, even if they weren't at Iowa, it's a place he wanted to be. So I think the big takeaway, is I don't want people to think Jody's steering them to Iowa, because he's put them in Virginia Tech, Virginia, Penn State, all over the nation, really. But it just so happens that there's a lot of kids coming up right now that were probably at the right age when they started getting into wrestling, and Iowa wrestling was still, running through their title run. So a lot of these kids grew up being Hawkeye fans, and it's starting to pay dividends for Tom Brands.
I saw some people complaining about strip matter steering people to Iowa. That's what they thought. Like you said, there's other schools that have come from the Young Guns, and I got to thinking, okay, what if Nico Megaludos, or what if David Taylor opened a kids club in Iowa? Would Penn State fans be mad if all of the kids from that club went to Tom Brands all the time? I mean, they would expect that there would be some favoritism towards Penn State still. I mean, that would they get mad? I wouldn't think Iowa fans would get mad if people from Iowa went out to Penn State, because there was a little bit of, I don't want to say Jody's doing that, but I mean, I can't say, you got to imagine he's not saying anything bad about the University of Iowa. So put yourself, they got to put themselves in people in Iowa's shoes. If David Taylor was in Iowa, had a kids club, I would expect some kids to go back to Pennsylvania. I mean,
right. And there's a lot of relationships too. I mean, it's just kind of how that all goes for you and who you click with. And, like when you think about Carter Happel had Penn State on his list for a long time because of his relationship with Cale when Cale was in Iowa. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that can affect a high school kid's opinion to where he's going to go in college. And it's all about the relationships they have. And Jody, probably talks fondly about his time at Iowa because he's pretty successful. So that's just what's going to happen. And I don't really get how he's steering them, though, when you look at Arizona State's roster, Virginia Tech, or Virginia. There's plenty of young gun kids everywhere.
Moving on, Iowa State, they found their director of wrestling operations, Dana Vogt. Garrett Kiley stepped away from that position. He's at Campbell now, and he's having a blast there. I've talked to him numerous times. He is happy that he is not where he was at, in this role, that he can be a coach. And So I want to congratulate Garrett Kiley for getting that position at Campbell University, and also Dana Vogt, Iowa guy, to get that role at Iowa State. Getting a 100% wrestling guy in there will always do well. So hopefully he can help Kevin Jackson and company reach their goals that they're wanting to do with the kids that they've got coming in. Somebody that can step in that leadership role to kind of put the pieces around. Director of operations is a job that really is a thankless job, from what I've been told. They do a lot of stuff. It's like a glorified assistant, and they do a lot.
A lot of administrative behind the scenes, like you said, thankless work that it needs to get done. But head coach, he's taking a road trip to Ohio to wrestle Ohio State and the University of Ohio. Doesn't have time to be taking care of stuff. That's what the director of ops got to do. So yeah, I'm sure it's not a fun job if it's not something like you're really passionate about.
Yeah, and some other news. Some North Dakota, they're back in Iowa. They're dipping into some of our guys here in Iowa. 3-time Iowa State place winner McGuire Midkiff of Council Bluffs, Thomas Jefferson. He committed last night to North Dakota State, and Roger Kish. And I want to say Lars had Midkiff as a big favorite. I mean, I just feel like he's just got he's always pushing for Midkiff when we're in these conversations when it comes to rankings or pound for pound and stuff. And Midkiff is right there. He's a top 25 ranked wrestler, I think, in our Fab 50. So he's a top guy to commit here early. Gets it out of the way for the season. He's 145 and 23. So he's kind of one of those guys like Max Lyon where he's got great offense, great defense, but he just hasn't had that breakout win. He hasn't won that state title to get those looks from maybe these bigger schools. But NDSU swoops him up and realizes what they have in Midkiff. So congratulations to McGuire.
Yeah, and it's got to be hard trying to break through 3A when you think about Brody Teskey's been at his weight the last 2 years. Biscaglia. There's a lot of good lightweights in that 3A, 106 to 113, 120 pounds, where Midkiff's been. And it's hard to break through when there's that much lightweight talent in 3A, but Lars has got him pegged in the top 25 overall, all classes. So North Dakota State getting another good one. Second Iowa recruit out of the state. Roger Kish putting in some work.
And another thing I wanted to get to here, if you've been following us on social media, Ross, myself, Lars, you might have been noticing that we might be promoting another state a little bit. That is Nebraska, our neighbor to the west. We have officially partnered with some folks out in Nebraska to open up NEWrestle.com. And this has been kind of a vision that we've had. Kirk and I had when we first started this, and then obviously when we brought you and Lars on, it brought a whole new meaning. And with the success that we had, I think this last season, it's time for us to go to the next level, to go into other states. And what do you think of I guess the feedback so far, the likes, the retweets, everything that you've seen from Nebraska fans so far?
I think we've been getting some pretty good support. It kind of seems weird to think I can hardly remember where we were at, followers and stuff like that when we started IA Wrestle, but I feel like we're on a similar track with Nebraska. I think the state kind of is hungry for somebody to just kind of come in and do what we've been doing in Iowa. I know a lot of states, Wisconsin, Missouri, Minnesota, there's people in other states recognizing what we're doing, and I think they wish they kind of had that in their state. And like you said, we kind of were given an opportunity to partner with some people that want to help and give us that support too. And now we're going to bring the same level of coverage and dedication to Iowa that we bring, we're going to bring it to Nebraska that we bring what we do here at Iowa.
New rankings. There'll be free rankings on anywrestle.com. Won't be a forum. So if you've got some people that you know in Nebraska, let them know about what we've been doing here in Iowa, and let them know about it. We're definitely coming. We've already knocked out a few articles. Ross did an overtime piece, and we've got some video interviews with some coaches out there. So we've got rankers lined up for the upcoming season. So be on the lookout for that. We'll try to cross-promote as much as we can, but we're going to still be bringing you Iowa coverage the same old, same old. We've got people that are hopefully going to be a Ross Bartachek, Lars Underbaki, Nick Ryder, Kirk Crittenden, Tony Hager out in Nebraska. I mean, that would be the ultimate, to have those type of people out there too. That obviously are doing this for the love, and hopefully someday we'll cash a couple checks. But for right now, we're growing it, and heck, we're doing an event at Carver Hawkeye Arena in a month and how many days are we out here? 45 days ish.
Sounds about right. Yep.
Yeah, 45 days out. Night of Conflict. So this week, like I said earlier in the podcast, I talked to 5 Point Move. We had a nice long podcast for you, so we're going to keep this one short. And, Ross, I appreciate the time. But one thing that also, Iowa fans, you can be on the lookout for is Spencer Lee looking to defend that junior world title. This is the guy that is the biggest recruit to come in for the University of Iowa, and you can watch him compete. What times is he going to be competing, Ross?
It starts at 3 a.m. on Saturday. It'll be on Flow Wrestling.
So yeah, if you're planning on tailgating on Saturday for the Iowa game, staying up late for wrestling on Friday, definitely get your sleep Thursday night, because we'll be bringing you coverage. I plan on staying up to watch some of the freestyle action. I don't know about you, Ross, but 3 a.m. is definitely going to be an early morning, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. So
that's right, and hopefully medal matches, I think they've been starting at noon. They're listed at 11 o'clock on all the press releases. So if you want to play it safe, be paying attention around 11. But hopefully, by the time we're eating lunch, we'll be watching some gold medal matches too that day.
So everybody, thanks for watching and listening to Potentially Dangerous episode 61. Be on the lookout for those new matchup announcements for Jason Renteria and Keaton Gertz on iwrestle.com this week. And make sure you go out and buy those tickets. VIP tickets are going fast. They're $20. And we're going to have some special stuff for you from opening the doors to the time that wrestling starts with some Hawkeye Wrestling Club members and some other wrestlers from around the state. So be on the lookout for that. For Ross Bartachek, I'm Tony Hager. Thanks for listening.
Know when the whistle go.